Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of High Disclosure, the podcast about sharing ideas. In episode 2, we'll be talking about water scarcity. I'll be talking about my experience living in Ethiopia, my issues with water, the country's issues with water, and the world's issues with water. So stay tuned. We don't think about the importance of water until we don't have access to it. This reminds me of a story. A fish swims by two fish and asks, "How's the water?" The two fish look at each other and say, "What's he talking about?" In this story, water is like the air we breathe. We forget about its significance because it is always around us. Without water, our lives would be very different. However, many people don't think about how they use water until they don't have it anymore. So we're going back to my podcast, and I haven't recorded these, and that's fine. I'm just going to start. Okay, so this is an image from the video Explained, the World Water Crisis, something that we've been talking a lot about in writing class. And because I've been focusing on it so much, I'll just use this for my listening and speaking class. But this is an image of somebody filling up a water bottle. It's not a water bottle, it's a Coke bottle. And it's, I don't know, I mean, it looks like pipes, and these pipes are letting water into this person's bottle. And it doesn't, I wouldn't really want to use a Coca-Cola bottle, but somebody else is doing it. And they're probably doing this because there are no other sources of water. And you can tell from this picture right there, it says it's Cape Town. How do I feel about, oh, sorry, I'm not going to say that. I think that this is probably really difficult for people to have to walk with water. If you've ever had to walk with water, which I have done, carrying liters of water, it's a very difficult job. So it looks like something that I wouldn't want to be doing, especially when it comes to having water. Okay. And so, yeah, this is from the video Explained, the World Water Crisis, and it's mentioning the day 0 in Cape Town. And if you watch the episode, you can find out more about that. This is an image from Ethiopia when I was living there from 2015 to 2017. And you can see these children smiling, laughing. But in the background, you'll notice that there's a lot of different cans, big blue ones, yellow ones. And these cans are water cans. Originally, the yellow ones, they're called jerry cans. They're actually filled with oil, and they have to clean them out. But usually, it's always the women are the ones that carry the water from the water wells, from wherever they get their water, sometimes from the river, sometimes from a public spigot, sometimes from a pump. But it's usually women that have to carry this. And the water that they use it for everything from drinking, cooking, to washing. So another thing you can notice in the background, in the lovely city of Harar, I think the fifth holy site for Muslims. It's a walled city in Ethiopia, and it's beautiful. But in the background, you can see clothes hanging. And it's something that people, they use this water to wash their clothes by hand. Which during my time as a volunteer, this is how I lived. I lived in a compound where I had my own room, a shared bathroom, and my kitchen was just in my single room. So if you can look at the picture on the left, this is my setup. I had water that I had in buckets. The white bucket you see on the top is where I filtered my water for drinking, and it was still really heavily calcified water. But this was my kitchen. You can see a little stove down below. You can see an electric range on my kitchen table that I made. You can see all my cooking ingredients. That was my kitchen, and I made some wonderful dishes in there. And yeah, whenever we had water, which was maybe once a week, I filled up all of my jerry cans. You can see my jerry can down there. And then on those days, that's when I did laundry, when there was water. And I did it by hand. I did all my laundry by hand for 2 years. And also, luckily, I had an office where there was water, so if I needed to take a shower, I would take a shower. But I showered much less living in Ethiopia, in the northern region, because of the lack of water and having access to running water maybe once or twice a week, but never in my home. Okay, so you learn how to save water when you have to scoop the water yourself. You realize how precious it is when you have to carry it yourself. Let's see. Oh. While I was living in Ethiopia, I was teaching at a school, and the school also had some water issues. And one of the things that I noticed was that students didn't conserve their water because it was something that came from a tap, and they didn't have to deal with it so much at the school. But one of the projects that I had my students do was create ways of saving water or reusing water. So these were natural science students. And I didn't teach them how to make anything. I just gave them an assignment, a project for their final, was to find a way to save water. And it could be any idea that they had as a group. They had to make the sketch, and they had to make the plans for it and then send it to me. And the students came up with some wonderful engineering. I never taught them how to do this. This is something that I was amazed the possibility of one, imagination, creativity, and ingenuity, being able to design and create something. And so, yeah, this, as you can see, the water gets trapped in the cement, and then the pipes take it to the trees. So that's something really cool that I thought the students were able to make when you give them a chance to do something. And yeah, because it was their school and their community, it was something that I think they were really proud of. And I hope someday when I go back there, I can still see these student-made projects. And my connection to water was, okay, so before I went to Ethiopia, my sister, she donated to Charity Water, okay, which is an organization that provides, builds wells for communities all over the world, at the time in Tigray. So the well that we donated to before I went to Ethiopia was actually near the city that I was a volunteer during Peace Corps. And so my friend here, Gebre Hewitt, he worked for the organization, the Charity Water, the country organization, so the sponsors, the support on the ground. And he told me that he could take me to the well that my sister's charity that I donated to as well, that our efforts had built. So on the right, I am standing in a community. You can see cows in the back, the pastures, and this is the community well, and it was something they were really proud about. All of the elders came out. We had a meal together, and my friend was able to drive me in that car and the truck in the back, and I just thought it was a really cool connection. One, to the country that I was serving. Two, to something my family, my sister, was able to put together. And sometimes the world just brings you to a place, I think, that you were supposed to be at. Water, like the air we inhale, is a commodity that we don't notice until it's used up. People in many parts of the planet live with water scarcity every day. If we always think about water as a never-ending resource, we will continue to waste an enormous amount. It's the moment that we figure out that water will not always come from the tap, that we can think about it as the most valuable resource in the world and safeguard it for generations. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening to today's episode of High Disclosure, the podcast about sharing ideas. Today's big idea was about water scarcity, how to be more conscientious about it, and how to make it more a part of our lives and something that we don't waste on a daily basis. If you found this episode interesting If you found this episode helpful, if you want to support this channel, the thing I'm going to ask you today to do is actually to donate to Charity Water, an organization that's helping people all over the world to have more sustainable water use through building wells and providing for communities. So look at charitywater.com and make a small donation. You can make a birthday donation or any other kind of donation. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time on the next episode.